जी जी, शुक्रिया हमारे साथ ये शेयर करने के लिए और हमारे साथ बने रहने के लिए। वक्त है
Thank you
कुछ
so much.
और खबरों के लिए। The decommissioning ceremony of the Indian Air Force's MiG-21 fighter aircraft fleet is currently underway in Chandigarh. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, CDS General Anil Chauhan are present on the occasion. Before the final sortie that will close a historic chapter, the event will showcase a series of aerial performances and the Surya Kiran aerobatic team, the Akash Ganga skydiving team and the Jaguar fighter aircraft executing a simulated raid will highlight the prelude as India bids adieu to the fighter jet after 6 decades. All right, now joining me on the telecast is Brian Thomas. Brian, obviously now those visuals have come on our screens. We can take a look at the MiG-21's final, when we're talking about the last flight of MiG-21, the last farewell to this historic flight. When we're talking about that, who all are exactly in the attendance over there, if you could share with our viewers?
Well, clearly, it is definitely a major ceremony which features this final flypast by 6 MIGs from number 23 Squadron, which is known as Panthers, as Chief Master A.P. Singh is leading the sortie under the call sign Badal 3. Squadron leader Priya Sharma, one of IAF's female fighter pilots, is also participating to symbolize the increasing role of women also. Not only that, this decommissioning ceremony is also, and very importantly, what we talk about the end of the era, this aircraft has been instrumental in several key military operations. Not only that, the ceremony is including a water cannon salute, an aerial display by the Surya Kiran aerobatic team, like you mentioned, Jia, the Akash Ganga skydiving team. Not only that, the Jaguars and locally produced the Tejas light combat aircraft, that is the SAMC-1, is also participating in the event. So clearly the retirement of MiG-21 is also becoming very crucial, very important. And this also marks about the legendary service that the MiG-21 has served for so many years. Yes.
And Ryan, when we're talking about MiG-21's role in several conflicts, if you could take our viewer through that, what exactly in several key conflicts, what exactly was its role?
Yeah, very importantly, it served a major role. If we talk about how it started, the MiG-21 inducted into the Air Force in Indian Air Force in 1963. It served as a cornerstone of India's aerial defense for over 6 decades. Not only that, like you asked, the aircraft has been instrumental in several key military operations, which includes the 1965, the 1971, the 1999 Kargil conflict, and not only that, the 2019, 6 years back, 2019 Balakot airstrikes as well. Yeah.
And Brian, when we're talking about MiG-21, in the final years of the service, it also acquired the very more morbid tag, which was called quote flying coffin unquote. What exactly was the reason behind this?
Yeah, see, the thing is, it has been very instrumental itself, and the MiG-21, which we are also flashing on screen about the flypast and the fighter jets, which served as a cornerstone in the aerial defense. The name that has been given has been very instrumental in serving for 6 decades per se, and it has been very instrumental itself, and it has a illustrious 62 years now, and the final sortie with the 6 MiG-21s in its formation is going to serve as a very legendary moment in Indian Air Force history as well. Riya.
And Brian, when we're talking about Chandigarh, there's a special reference to this place, a very special importance. That's why in Chandigarh, it's the final last flight of this MiG-21. What exactly is the significance of Chandigarh in terms of this?
Well, Chandigarh has its own, the iconic MiG-21 that's retiring after 6 decades of service has been cornerstone. Now, if we talk about the retirement ceremony that is happening in Chandigarh Air Force, it also marks the end of the era. It also, the Air Force also honors this jet, not only that shaped India's aerial strength, but also inspired pride, discipline and valor across Indian Air Force itself. And very importantly, because of the agility, the compact combat prowess. The MIG earned the nickname that you mentioned, Flying Coffin, for its challenging handling. Yet generations of IAF pilots mastered it with courage itself, and clearly it has been playing many such crucial roles and critical role in multiple wars, including Indo-Pak conflicts, the 1965-1971 Kargil, key operations like Balakot as well. So, yeah.
And when we're talking about MiG-21, also, what does this mean for the next in the Air Force after its farewell? What is the next course of action for the Air Force after its farewell?
See, I mean, the retirement is obviously comes amiss. India is trying, the Indian Air Force, the defense industry is clearly trying to modernize the IAF fleet. Now the indigenous Tejas is also being inducted as the successor, and very importantly, the Indian government has also ordered additional Tejas jets and is also considering acquisition of 114 Indian made Rafale jets. So clearly the main focus is modernization. The main focus is more agility, more prowess.
Yes. All right, Brian, I would have to stop you over there due to the fact that we have a guest joining us on the telecast, Major General Sudhakarji joining us on the telecast. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us on the telecast. Major General Sudhakarji, this is something that is obviously very historic. It's an iconic fighter jet. If you could share with our viewers, what exactly is the significance of MiG-21 in the history of all the conflicts it has been part of and the journey it had?
Yeah, good morning. Thank you for getting me on the phone up. All I would say is that, yes, this is going to definitely create a vacuum which needs to be filled up as far as our air defense resources are concerned. And towards that end, India is making very significant strides in acquisition of Rafale, which are going to be built in India. As also there are deals afoot likely to fructify very soon with regard to Su-57, which is 5th generation. So essentially our inventory would be having 4th generation, 4.5 and 5th generation aircraft by 2035 or so. And we have also Tejas, but Tejas unfortunately is actually haltingly going ahead because of lack of supply, regular supply of aerospace engine assured by America to be provided by GE, General Electric. So these are the issues which are actually delaying our capability. But at the same time, we need to take lessons from Operation Sindoor. Operation Sindoor has given up new dimensions to the entire threat perception. Earlier, we used to think about Pakistan front, but these days, contrary to our understanding and perception of one front, 2.5 to 3 fronts, there is a new paradigm which is emerging, which is called as one front of China. It looks from west coast of America till the east coast of Africa, the entire corridor of Indo-Pacific. It can have overlapping layers of surveillance platforms, and in one swath it would be able to pick up any target anywhere. So that actually defeats the understanding and concept of multiple threats, multiple fronts of India. So as far as China is concerned, one satellite platform overlapped with multiple platforms. Let's say flying over Chengdu, will be able to look at the entire front of Indo-Pacific in one look, that is one front. And this one front dimension is actually going to put all our resources at a stretch. Presently, we have just about 29 squadrons, but by and by the requirement, I'm told yesterday that it has been recalculated, being revised to have a demand or requirement of at least 60 squadrons of aircraft, one squadron being 16 to 18 aircrafts, including the trading one. So that would actually take up our requirement to much more than what we have today. This has to be seen in the light of the threat that we are likely to face. China and Pakistan together both will have something close to 1,900 or 2,000 odd fighter jets or fighter aircraft, and that has to be met up. If not that, it has to be prioritized in an escalatory matrix, and India has to go in for it for adequate replacement of MiG-21, which has been actually outlived its life, and it has been done with for good. Back to you, Ria.
All right, Major General Sudhakarji, stay on with us. I also have with me on the telecast Major General A.K. Sivaj. Major General A.K. Sivaj, thank you so much for joining us on the telecast. Obviously, this is such a major day for all of us, especially people in the armed forces. One of the things that I would like, if you could shed light on that, is what was the MiG-21's role in the 1971 war success?
Riya, first of all, we must salute MiG-21. They have done a very honored service to the nation. They were inducted in 1963, and after 62 years, they are getting now farewell from Indian Air Force. The point is they have performed extremely well in all the wars, not only 71 war, in 65 war, they played a crucial role in 71 war. They played extremely crucial role in East Pakistan. You know, this is the aircraft which flew many sorties on Governor's house and put a pressure on Pakistan Army to accept basically surrender. So that's what it has made a tremendous impact in 1971, both on the eastern and the western front. Then you remember that how they played a crucial role in Kargil war, and then you can forget in Balakot after 2019, where you can find Wing Commander Abhinandan with the MiG-21 can manage to hit F-16. So the point is that MiG-21 has been a workhorse of Indian Air Force. They have done honor service. Remember when they were inducted in, that is the time there was a fear of US spy aircraft trying to do spying in our area, and that is how MiG-21 were got. Initially, their role was limited, but India made full use of them for offensive, for defensive, for interception, for recce, for surveillance. So this has been a workhorse as far as Indian Air Force is concerned for 62 years. We have modernized it, and we have also produced this MiG-21 within India. Now the cause of concern is that Indian Air Force is now left with 29 squadrons, whereas immediately there is a requirement of 46 squadrons if there is a two-front war. And as General Sudhakarji was telling, possibly this will increase further in case threat perception is taken even towards the Indo-Pacific. Having said so, as on today, when MiG-21 gets decommissioned, this is the last squadron, which is squadron number 23, known as a Panther. Now you are inducted in Tejas Mark 1, Tejas Mark 1 Alpha, and subsequently Tejas Mark 2. We have already given orders initially for 83, now given for 97. But the induction is very slow. The induction is so far that out of 83, 2 aircraft will be inducted.
All right.
There are multi-region, just listen to, there are multi-various region, and one of the reason is that the GE Aerospace is unable to provide 404 engines from US. But all said and done, we have to hasten up this. We have to have this aircraft at the earliest because Indian Air Force needs it. We have always got two threats looming both from China and Pakistan. Considering this, we have to make sure that the roadmap which has been laid for Tejas Mark 1, Alpha and 2, they must fulfill that. And that's a requirement of Indian Air Force. I am sure that today we will all salute MiG-21 for the honor service they have given to the nation.
All right, Major General A.K. Sivaj, thank you so much for joining us on the telecast. Stay on with us. I also have with me Wing Commander S. Sudhakaran, former Air Force. Thank you so much for joining us on the telecast. Obviously, as Major General A.K. Sivaj and Major General Sudhakarji have also spoken about the rich legacy of MiG-21 and obviously paying homage to something that such an iconic flight, and as well as the service for 62 years. That's a major development in itself. What do you want to shed light in terms of the complex legacy MiG-21 has? Because for over 3 decades, it was the backbone of the IAF and saw action in every conflict since the 1965 war with Pakistan. So what next now in terms of carrying forward that legacy?
See, 6 decades of operation in the service of nation in the Indian Air Force. It was an amazing fighter of those times, but then it served its purpose, meeting the required number of squadrons. Our immediate requirement is that the number of squadrons, which was at 31 till yesterday, falls immediately to 29 today when we retire these 2 squadrons. And it is not easy to increase these numbers because it is an expensive affair for India, and that's an immediate cause for concern for the Air Force because we require something like 42 squadrons. The Indian Air Force was well served by the MiG-21 because the MiG-21, which was first inducted in the 1960, early 60s, it almost, I think, served for 62 to 63 years. And it was a frontline jet for 2 of its major wars. And we also remember that Wing Commander Abhinandan used this platform to bring down an F-16 aircraft, which is a generation ahead of the MiG-21. Such was the capability of this aircraft. It was unforgivable in terms of its mechanics. It had a speed of Mach 2 plus, and it had a very, very agile posture in the sky. In fact, I came from an air defense environment, and it would give a very, very small radar signature for any missile because being a small form factor aircraft, it was always very difficult to detect. And if it had low-level flying, as it approached any surface-to-air defense equipment, it was that much more harder to engage. So it had really served the purpose. I also pay tributes to the wingmen who, lost their lives in this aircraft. In fact, I was personally witness to one such accident in Badmer, wherein I was one of the first responders post an accident. I know what happened. And there were many such accidents which happened with this aircraft because he extensively used it to the limit that was possible. Today is the last day, and as a veteran, I pay my tributes and salute for the yeoman service that this platform has rendered for India. And may we have many such platforms serve India in the future also. And I hope the government ups its ante and then gives the Air Force the desired number of squadrons to defend the Indian skies.
Wing Commander S. Sudhakaran, stay on with us. I also have with me Major General Anuj Mathur. Major General Anuj Mathur, thank you so much for joining us on the telecast. Obviously, as I was having a conversation with other panelists with me, they've also talked about and paid tribute to the MiG-21, 62 years of service, and obviously this is something very iconic. And now it's the last flight, the last decommissioning that is set to take place. What exactly, in your perspective, since you have an experience in this field, what does this mean, especially for the Indian Armed Forces and also the IAF as well? What significance does this have? Because it was part of every major conflict, and it also flew more than 50 air forces worldwide, from the Soviet Union and China to Egypt as well, Iraq and Vietnam, and it's also cemented its reputation as one of the most widely operated supersonic jets ever built.
Jai Hind, Zia. Am I audible?
Yes, you go on.
Okay. So I will talk from the perspective of an army soldier who's done 4 decades, and this is one platform. You made a statement. This is given yeoman service. This has been an outstanding backbone of the Indian Air Force, and most importantly, it has played decisive roles. Remember, it was this aircraft which Abhinandan was flying, and he brought down F-16 with it. It was this aircraft which has given the decisive blow in the 1971 conflict, when on the 14th of December, a very precise rocket attack was undertaken on the governor's conference, and which actually spelled doom for the Pakistani armed forces. 93,000 soldiers surrendered. So the point is that this is one extraordinary flying machine which has been there in many more than 60 countries. You said air forces, and has done a marvelous job. All the wars that India has fought, it was MiG-21s who were absolute backbones. Now, from a perspective of an army ground soldier, these are the platforms which have performed and given close air support to the armed forces always and every time, so that basically the favorable air situation was created by them, and army could carry out operations at will. One more thing I would like to tell you, that this is the kind of aircraft, and more important than the aircraft was all those gallant airmen, air warriors who have flown this aircraft, and despite this being slightly inferior to some of the platforms which were there operating that time within the environment, they performed exceptionally well. I salute this 62-year-old war-fighting machine and the people who have flown it, the airmen, air warriors who have made use of this platform and given all the support to the ground forces and to the naval forces. And this has been the mainstay of the Indian Air Force for many, many, many years. Now, having said that, I would now say that there is now a need for us to make up and make sure that the things which are required, the platforms which are required by the Indian Air Force, are made up with modernized and better versions of the aircraft. We are already on our way to create indigenous fighting machines. Also, we need some out of the world 5.5, 5th generation, 6th generation flying machines, which Air Force desperately requires. I hope that the government does something on that and makes up for this huge vacuum which this platform retiring is going to create. I congratulate the Indian Air Force for having made use of this outstanding flying machine in such a great manner that it became the actual reason for our victory in all the 4 or 5 wars that we have fought. Riya.
All right, Major General Anuj Mathur, stay on with us. I also have with me Air Marshal O.P. Tiwari, former Indian Air Force, joining us on the telecast. Air Marshal O.P. Tiwari, thank you so much for joining us on the telecast. Obviously, as all of my panelists have talked about this is a very major day for all of us, and that India is bidding farewell to IAF's iconic MiG-21, which is a beloved war horse. In your experience, the legacy of MiG-21, if you could shed light, what exactly was the major achievement? And obviously, since you are paying tribute to it, in your experience, what was the experience in terms of MiG-21 since you have worked in that field?
Because MiG-21 was the first supersonic fighter jet produced in this world. I not say that USA was, but it came onto the ground and fly. See, the Russians started this program in 1951. Tell you, after MiG-25 and MiG-15 and MiG-17, they started off this project, and first aircraft flew on the 16th June of 1955. Basic aim of this aircraft was designed to fly, go at very high level and fire a missile and destroy the reconnaissance aircraft. In those days, in late 1950s and 60s, there were no missiles, there were no satellites, not much of satellites. Everything was the aircraft used to go over the enemy territory, hostile territory, take the photographs and come down. So basically, this purpose was to destroy them. But now, after this manufacture of this aircraft, it was so successful as a fighter, as an interceptor, as a counterattack also. The number, total of about more than 10,500 aircraft have been produced in the MiG factories. The two places where the MiGs being manufactured, one in the Russia, Moscow, other was in the Tbilisi, where the terminals used to be made. Now, out of 10,400, now since there was mass production, this aircraft was cheaper and performance was very good. So nearly 60 countries have bought this aircraft from Russia. Okay, so this effectiveness of this aircraft was seen during the Korean War, even Yom Kippur War, even the Syrian aircraft, the Egyptian MiG-21 has performed well, even the Vietnam War. India went for it after 1962. October to November, 8 pilots of Indian Air Force went for conversion. They were first trained on MiG-15 and 17, thereafter trained onto MiG-21. First squadron was constructed, established under Wing Commander Dilbag Singh, who became a chief of the Air Force. 28th Squad was formed. Thereafter, no stoppage. Moscow, Russia, offered us full technology transfer and MOU for manufacturing the aircraft or assembling the aircraft by HAL here. In all, Indian Air Force had about 875, 876 aircraft with the Indian Air Force, out of which at the time, it was a peak time when the 400 aircrafts were there in the 19th squadron. It was a backbone. When you're having a very big fleet, it has got a lot of advantages. Advantage, it means we can maintain a flyable and serviceable aircraft, lot number of aircraft, because if some aircraft from one part is not available, we can take it from other. So at a one time, we can launch so many aircraft that go. Plus, this aircraft was very highest takeoff speed and highest landing speed. The aircraft is difficult to fly. Once the pilots are trained, but in their performance of aircraft is phenomenal. So once the pilots were trained, they get airborne, the performance is super. In 1965 war, since role of this aircraft was not very much, it was limited because of all induction had not taken place. Only few squads are there. It flew some sorties, destroyed some targets, but played a role. But 1971, it played a major role. In 1971, what happened? East Pakistan was one aspect. But even the west of Pakistan, the targets, very important targets were targeted by these aircraft, and that made Pakistan to come on back foot. They thought not even East Pakistan, we lose even West Pakistan. So that played a very major role and demotivated and demoralized the forces in the East Pakistan that surrendered so soon. That happened for the first time in the history of India. See, India has operated about 4 versions of MiGs. First 4 versions, Type 75, Type 77, BIS. Few aircrafts were phased out in 2013. But 1990, 92, 93, that was a phase when you required a new aircraft to keep our fleet flying. Government has refused to give us aircraft that time, but now Air Force has to be fit enough. So we had found some innovative measures. You must thank the Air Force higher officials, engineers, HAL, which converted, and the new version, and out the Russian cooperation, the new version, Bison came. And Bison was almost 3.5 version. So MiG Bison has been the main force of the aircraft, mainstay. When there were no aircraft, nothing available, the MiGs played a major role, and we were able to sustain a make or strength to scare China and Pakistan at the same time. That's the main role of MiG-21, which has been procured by Indian Air Force. After 1971, you have seen in the Kargil operations.
Yes.
Okay, it happened. Even the Balakot, you can see that 71. Aircraft is a very old version as compared to the F-16, but F-16 was short.
Yes.
So MiG-21, it was a backbone. We had nothing but to fall back upon, and the horse was a capable horse. And it has served for 62 years now. First came in 63, now it is 62. Today, even the Bison.
Air Marshal O.P. Tiwari, I would like you to stay on with us. We also have another guest with us on the telecast, and Wing Commander S. Sudhakaran. My question to you, Wing Commander S. Sudhakaran, is that obviously the farewell of MiG-21 is leaving a hole after its farewell. The oldest fighter is leaving a hole for Indian armed forces. So in terms of that, how will this gap be filled? Who will carry on this major legacy of MiG-21?
When it comes to numbers, the gap, essentially, I don't have answers for it, because unless and until we accelerate the procurements for the Rafales, I've been given to understand around 114 Rafales are likely to be, ordered for, with it being made in India. But then how much of that will be delivered and how much of that will be actually available for use immediately, we can't really tell about that, because the first 36 also took roughly around 3 to 4 years to get completely operationalized right from the day it got ordered, and it came absolutely as a completely full-blown kit from France into India. Now, this, if we have to do a make in India, it's going to take some time. And now add to that, the technology obsolescence matrix itself is so fast-paced that you will not see another aircraft, flying for 60, 70 years like what the MiG-21 did. We are now talking about very, very short-term time frames, because you are now going to get a large level of unmanned combat aerial vehicles, which will be the fleet in the next decade or so. So I really don't have an answer, immediate answer, but then we have a problem in our hands. It's a big concern, specifically because we've had Operation Sindoor just, being completed, and we've seen a very different kind of a warfare just about 3 months back. So we will have to factor all that and then create an immediate policy, a short-term policy, a medium policy, and a long-term policy, and then work on all these fronts parallelly. And increasing the Scotland's strength, in fact, dents the exchequer big way. So India needs to find money, and that money, if it is invested within our indigenous local economy, it will generate a lot of jobs, and there is a lot of possibility in the crisis that I see. So we have an opportunity, provided we have the decision.
Unfortunately, Wing Commander S. Sudhakaran and Air Marshal O.P. Tiwari, due to the paucity of the time, will have to shift our focus. But thank you so much, Wing Commander S. Sudhakaran, Air Marshal O.P. Tiwari, Major General Sudhakarji, Major General Anuj Mathur, and Major General A.K. Sivaj as well for joining us on the telecast. Now, Prime Minister Modi is transferring rupees 7,500 crore as the first installment of the Mukhyamantri Mahila Rozgar Yojana, benefiting 75 lakh women in Bihar. The scheme promotes rural women's entrepreneurship by providing initial grants of rupees 10,000 to eligible women for starting businesses, with a performance-based additional grant of up to rupees 2 lakh after 6 months. And the state cabinet, led by Chief Minister Nitish Kumar, approved the scheme on August 29, and priority goes